Hello! Was that too much energy? I'm not sure. Welcome back to the Gayming Podcast Live, the podcast for Gayming Magazine. We are here every 2 weeks or so to talk to all the coolest people on the web, to talk gaming stories, news, and gossip with your favorite content creators. Now, every podcast, as always, I'm joined by an awesome guest host. And today, once again, keeping this going during DigiPride, we have the one and only Robin Gray. Hello, Robin.
Hello.
You got your mug there.
You got me mid slurp.
What are you drinking today? Well,
a little peppermint tea.
A little peppermint tea?
Just a little peppermint tea, just to settle me down.
Just a little bit of peppermint.
As we slide off into the oblivion of a podcast.
Oh, Lord. You know what? I'm just thankful that this wasn't a midweek podcast, because let's go and do the Gaming Magazine tradition where we talk about the weather. But I think it's quite apt this week, considering it's been the gateway to hell opened up beneath Britain, and we've had the highest recorded temperatures ever.
Yeah, we've finally come down off the 41 degrees Celsius, 100 plus degrees Fahrenheit in the UK, and we're back to kind of like just a bit grey and rainy and a bit warm.
It's
still
at the moment. Warm though. It's warm and muggy, and I hate it. I don't like it. Can you make it right? You have those powers, right? I
do. But
you're
I
like Storm from the X-Men. You have the power to control the weather.
I like to keep it slightly uncomfortable, just to keep.
So you're doing this to me. You're the reason that I'm getting dampness in places I don't want it. Got it. All right.
For the video viewers amongst us, and for the audio viewers, you'll just have to imagine this. I'm enjoying the outfit today.
Oh, my outfit?
No, mine. My boring
your
red
outfit.
T-shirt.
I
meant yours.
Your red T-shirt. Is that a Safe in Our World T-shirt?
It is, and there's a point to it, which I'll come to later.
Okay, there's a point to it, which we'll come to later. You mean my outfit?
I'm enjoying your outfit.
My name is Billy Bob. This is my outfit today. I feel like I should have hay in my mouth or something. Yeah, I'm dressed like a country bumpkin today, with my Amsterdam cap on. This is how they all dress in Amsterdam, by the way. I thought it was quite fitting. Yeah. I just got back from TwitchCon Amsterdam. We'll be talking about that later.
And, a full European.
Yes, exactly. Exactamundo.
Awesome. Just a quick reminder for those of you joining us live, you can interact with the podcast both here in the Twitch chat and, of course, in a special section on our Discord. And, of course, don't forget you can keep up with all the latest news and features from Gaming Magazine by visiting gaymingmag, Gayming mag.com. Now, today's podcast is a little different, isn't it?
It is a little bit different. We are kind of shaking up the formula a little bit more than usual today. Now, it's still DigiPride across gaming, of course, and you can still check out all we have coming up at gaymingmag.com/DigiPride, but it also means that we can welcome not one, but two amazing special guests on the podcast today.
That's absolutely right. This week, our first guests are the minds behind the amazing Arcade Spirits and Arcade Spirits new challengers. Please welcome Stefan Aenne and Aenne Schumann.
Woo!
Hello.
Hey there.
So happy to be here.
Greetings.
Happy to have you here. How is today going for you today?
Great. I've got my cat in my lap after, playing a little bit of Stray yesterday, and couldn't be better.
As Stray taught your cat anything new?
No, my cat is like Hippo. She is the clumsiest cat ever. So like watching this cat like jump on things, I was like, Hippo, this will never be you. But it's okay. I love you regardless.
And Stefan, how's your day going so far?
I've been having a nice chill weekend, alternating between writing for the new game and just watching Twitch and chilling out.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Oh, yeah. What's your Twitch channel of choice, actually? That's a good question.
I tend to bop around a bunch of the GTA RP streams from NoPixel. Like
nice.
There's some high drama and low
have
comedy
you ever
going on there.
Have you ever watched Ashy?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're good friends. But yeah, that's all that needs to be said. Okay.
The RP stuff is so fascinating to me too, because like there's a lot that goes into it and you don't even realize.
Yeah.
What I love is like the weird intertwine of just live role playing and game mechanics. Like they keep instituting new gameplay systems and progression systems, but there's this tug of war between the mechanical nature of the game of Grand Theft Auto and the desire of them to just role play and tell stories like a LARP. And it's interesting seeing that like gray area in the middle.
Particularly Grand Theft Auto, like it's not a game necessarily traditional for cute and cozy warmth and everything else. But was it Nicotine? Have I got that right?
Yeah, Nicotine does it as well. On a different server. She's not a NoPixel, but Nicotine
But they like role play as a shopkeeper or something.
Well, they originally role played as a shopkeeper, and now they role play as an old woman who's searching for her grandson. So it's And the last trailer I saw for it, she was just flying through the air with explosions behind her. So yeah, it's changed up a little bit. Yeah. It's actually really interesting because the amount of like work that must go into like modding the game to add all these like bells and whistles into it too. It's really, really cool. But we're not here to talk about GTA.
No, we're not.
Roleplay. No, I mean, imagine we could have a fantastic conversation about GTA roleplay. We are here to interview yourselves, right? So, Robin, you've got questions.
Absolutely, yeah.
You have questions. I have questions too. I'm going to let you go first.
Thank you.
So,
tell us about your roles at Fiction Factory. Let's kick off with a nice, easy one.
Well, we're co-authors on the story. We divided the story up between like members of the cast. You know, some characters on Anna's side, some characters on mine. I handle overall project direction, and Anna is narrative designer.
Yeah, and like most indies, we all have separate hats as well. Stefan does a lot of the coding, and I do a lot of like the PR and reaching out to streamers because I'm a streamer as well. So.
Awesome. Now, obviously, Arcade Spirits: The New Challenges is the new game. That's not out yet. Is it? Has it come out yet?
No, it's been out for a month.
It's out. Yes. We played it on Let's Go Gaming. I thought we got like an advance.
Played it a few weeks ago on Let's Go.
We
Gaming.
did. Yeah. I don't know if we had an advanced copy or we had like special privileges. That's out. Yeah, that's definitely out.
You had an advanced copy, and it's been out for a bit.
It was both. There we go. That's what confused me. Now, that is a brand new story, and it has brand new characters, and obviously there's old faces returning too. Why did you decide to go for a new cast and not continue the adventure with the old cast?
Well, I feel like the stories and the character arcs from the first game were pretty much told and complete. Like you see their progression from A to B. You see a nice, neat, satisfying conclusion for each of them. And it didn't really make sense to reopen all of those and say, but really there's more that they need to do. And also we wanted to try something a little different, which is a standalone sequel. That this is a game that continues the world of 20XDX, but is its own standalone game. So you could come at it fresh and get just as good of an experience as if you were playing that in sequence.
And just to be like a little bit greedy, like we got to experience new characters, and it's always fun to get to like dip your toes into new storylines that you haven't done before, and write new characters. So yeah, it's fun to get to do that and create more of the world that we've created.
Yeah,
honestly, it is a wonderful world. I love the general premise of what if the video game crash didn't happen. And I guess ET just didn't exist. I guess it's just it's a fun environment to explore. Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, we lay a lot on the feet of ET for ruining everything, but honestly, we were just using that as like this is the touchstone of like this is one of the things that went right in this timeline is that they delayed the ET game until it didn't have bugs and then released it, and people were happy with it. What an idea!
So what are your thoughts on LGBTQ representation in video games? Because I know obviously that specifically obviously Arcade Spirits has some great representation, and did that kind of does your thoughts on that kind of impact the development of the new challenges?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like overall, like representation is getting better. Like it's significantly better than it was when I was a kid. Like when I was a kid, like I feel like I can't even tell you a character that comes to mind for representation. But I still feel like there's also a lot of work left to do in our community. Obviously, like with everything that's going on in the world and all these anti-trans laws, like we need to do more in our community for representation and just support for all of our trans players, all of our queer players. There's just so much left to do, but I do feel like it's a step up, right? Like And that's one of the good things about like what we've done is we're also queer creators and we're creating queer games. And I think, when we started at Arcade Spirits 1, like that was just always something that we wanted to incorporate. We wanted to have characters be able to romance characters without blocking them out based on their pronouns or their gender or anything like that. We wanted people to be able to love regardless and not have to worry about those things. And that's just really important to us because that's who we are and we want to see ourselves reflected in this world.
Yeah, for instance, I'm asexual, aromantic, and so I'm writing a dating game. Whoa! But the thing is that I always saw it more as a visual novel than a dating simulator because the dating aspect is actually entirely optional. There is a perfectly valid friendship-only story path with its own unique content in both games, and I'm looking to make ace representation more robust moving forward, where you can have like equivalent experiences whether you're romancing or not romancing.
I think that's super important. I think it's super impactful as well because I think everything that we've seen of late always kind of carries a story and kind of carries that baggage, if you like, of there's inevitably going to be a romance. And I think the ability to kind of live out a story in a very sort of friendship oriented way, I think is hugely important and hugely impactful for our community.
Yeah, we wanted people to approach the game in a way that's comfortable for them. No matter what it is.
That's exactly it.
Yeah, I feel like our tagline is be who you want to be and like love who you want to love, whether that love is, amore and romantic or non-romantic.
As someone who's actually like demi myself, I sometimes can get overwhelmed by like the over sexualization of some media. So it's really nice to like have this experience where it just gives you the option where you don't have to go down that path at all if you don't want to. And something else I also appreciate as a trans person is how you've expanded the customization options for not only the protagonist for the original game by a lot, but also obviously you can now customize your rival too. There is a lot of unisex options seemingly. Could you expand on the reasoning that you delved into it just so much this time around?
Certainly, yeah. The first time around, we designed the game so that you had one fairly similar looking character, even if you swapped hairstyles, that was gender neutral. And we did that way because you had your custom character appearing in like 8 or 9 different scenes with custom poses and custom clothing. And if you did it any more complicated than that, you'd be drawing thousands and thousands of variations. This time around, we were like, well, what if we turn that around? What if we have the player character be visible on screen alongside the other characters? And therefore, because they're just a normal character and not doing all these custom scenes, we could have them be very customizable. Our players asked for more customizability, asked for more representation, for different body shapes, for different options. So we designed the entire game around the idea of being in third-person perspective, seeing your custom character instead of them just being a little portrait in the corner of the window.
It's actually really, really cool. When I got to sit down and watch some players play it on Let's Go Gaming, and then the next time I got to play it for myself, and just awesome to see how varied the customizations with the characters actually turn out to be. I think just being able to choose like your name and your tag separately opens so many doors for just the insight to the personality of these characters too. I believe we went for Blaze It 420 as our player handle, which was amazing. Can't remember what we called them though. It was something to do with that. Obviously.
I've seen a lot of X's and a lot of 69s in player tags.
Oh yeah,
it's very chef kiss perfect.
Yeah, it's great. I love it. And it's great because we of course have like this whole like retro and like synthwave theme going on, and it's great to see like all of us like go back to like those early internet days and have the XX Sephiroth 69 420, all those kind of
perfect.
There were 68 other Sephiroths, I swear.
In the original Arcade Spirits, you were focusing a lot on saving the arcade while making it your own. This new game focuses on a team of players. So what inspired that narrative shift of focus?
I think it calls back to the same reason why we went for new cast, is that we wanted to try new storylines, new aspects, new angles on arcade culture without repeating the angles that we already explored. Like, for instance, there's very little focus on retro gaming because I feel like we hit the mark on that with Naomi and Percy in the first game. So we were like, well, what are new angles on arcade culture? What are new storylines that we could explore? And going with the esports focus theme, where each of the characters has their own favorite style of game and their own focuses, but they all have this unifying factor, gave it the 80s underdog sports movie feel that we wanted.
Oh yeah, I love the variations in the actual character design too, and like again, seeing some VAs return from different games. Like I know you had Pro ZD on there as well, personal fave, absolutely wonderful human being. It was really cool to actually get to grips with that character. I forced the people that were playing to go and talk to them just so I could hear the voice, which was probably terrible on my part, but yeah. So you've actually made more changes in terms of accessibility this time around too. You've added more options. So how important was it to you to include that for your players? And what are your thoughts on accessibility within video games generally across the scene right now?
Well, I'm a disabled video game developer myself, so I'm always looking for ways that I can tweak and tune the experience that it meets a wide variety of different abilities and make sure that everybody has a chance of playing the game. There's a very, very strong set of visual impairment support on the PC version of the game, where you can set a setting which self-voices the entire game. It rearranges UI elements in a way that makes sense when you're coming at it audio only. There is a, unfortunately slightly hidden, but I'm moving it to the forefront in our next game, option for a dyslexia-friendly font. This sort of stuff is very important to us, and that's actually one of the main advantages to using the game engine that we do, which is Raythe, because it has a lot of these accessibility features built in, and then we extend the tools beyond that. And yeah, I would love to see more games have a very accessibility focus on what they're doing. I think we're starting to see that with, for instance, Sony's big prestige flagship AAAs like The Last of Us and so on. They are adding in a lot of accessibility tools, like tons. I would love to see more robust difficulty settings. I'd love to see more difficulty settings. We've seen that in Psychonauts 2. We're seeing it all over the place, and I'm all for it.
Yeah, I think like recently with a lot of games that, like, I feel like within just this year, there's like in options, there's now like accessibility options where I feel like if you even go back to last year or 2 years ago, it was just an options, like, but now there's specific things for accessibility, which is great to see. And I think obviously like with just overall like queer representation, that's something that is getting better, but there's still a lot left to do to help people and get people to be able to play the games how they want to play.
I think it was EA, wasn't it, that developed a whole set of accessibility standards and then just gave them away as kind of like an industry free tool, wasn't it? Yeah, that was amazing. We mentioned obviously earlier about sort of routes through the game, but there's also a polyamorous route in this game. How did you decide you were going to go down that route, and frankly any other route that you have as well?
Yeah, so we actually wanted a polyam route in the first one, but it was our first game and we just didn't know how we wanted to do it, right? Because with all the coding, it was a little more difficult than we had anticipated. So we didn't end up doing one, but we knew that for the second one, that's something we really wanted to accomplish because it meant a lot to us to be able to represent polyam people, right? As a polyam person myself, like I wanted that. And I just like wanting to romance multiple people at the same time. So we worked out a way to include a poly path in Arcade Spirits, the new challengers, and it's great. I'm happy to do it, and I can't wait to do more like polyam paths and future stuff.
I'd say it's wonderful going back to the actual like characters that you've created as well, and just being able to romance multiple at the same time is a good option. But to me, when I was going through my playthrough, my favorite moment, I believe, was literally jumping into the arcade for the first time. The pizzeria / the laundrette / arcade, and seeing the wonderful array of diverse characters that you've included in that space. How have you written these characters in a way that avoids stereotypes while also making it feel natural to the story you're trying to tell?
Yeah, so from the very beginning, we essentially have worked with salt and sage
Salt
and
and sage.
salt and sage. I was like, we have salt and straw here in Portland, so that was like in my head too. So when we first came up with the characters, we basically sent it to them as like, here's our plan for the characters, here's an overall like story arc. What do you think? And then, so we did multiple different sensitivity readings, and we also have a lot of friends to sort of get information from, and just like the community itself. You know, we had a lot of varying playtesters help us with things as well. So it's not just like us, it's a whole community of people that are helping us with our representation. And we're super grateful for that because, you know, we are only 2 people.
Yeah, I discussed, for instance, for the polyamorous route, I discussed how it was going to be crafted, how it would be written with several polyamorous people in our community. And I also employed a accessibility and disability expert in terms of trying to figure out, well, how does Jinx's storyline pan out? How does her condition work? And we basically, you got to do the legwork. You got to do the research if representation and disability and diversity is important to you, because you want to get it right. You want to be truthful and authentic.
Yeah. And then the second part too that we did is after we wrote the entire game and wrote all the character arcs, we then took everything back to our sensitivity readers and we're like, all right, this is what we have now. Please go through it again and let us know. And I think another thing that we also do, and this is what we did for Arcade Spirits, the original too, is like, we're only 2 people. So you know, there's probably going to be some mistakes and some faults, and that's totally fine. Like, we will fix those things. But what we did from Arcade Spirits 1 is when we were presented with those things, we took the time to do the research and fix them in like updated versions and stuff like that. So we'll continue to do that for the new challengers as well.
Yeah, we've already issued a couple of patches, mostly for bug fixes, but we have issued some textual changes and smoothed over a few bumps and tried to make sure that the experience remained welcoming and authentic.
Nice.
That's awesome
it's
to
always,
hear.
yeah, it's always really important to listen. And I think that it's difficult to get everything right first time, but I think the willingness to listen and willingness to change is the most important thing.
Totally.
So what are your top 5 moments in Arcade Spirits, the new challenges?
Mine are all spoilers. Like all the various little twists or one scene gags that I really don't want to spoil for someone who's coming in. Like I'll just say like Jinx's cat. That's all I'll say because I don't want to spoil it. There's such good moments.
Okay. I feel like a top 5 is a little much, but like definitely I feel like one of my favorite moments was writing the rival. And I guess I could consider 5 moments in the rival's path. Just because, like we were talking earlier, I love an enemies to lovers trope or a rivals to lovers trope. So for me, that was like, it was just so much fun to write. And I got to do all like the silly things that I've always like written in fan fiction before. Like I got to put a Kabe Dawn in there. That was like amazing. And like, I got to write, the really jerk villain type character. And then I got to write like your rival, like your friendly rival that's, cheering you on, but still like your rival. So there's still that tension there. So that was just really fun because I got to explore all the fun tropes that I've sort of grown up with as being a teenager and through young adulthood that I really just love. And so that was really fun for me.
And without spoiling anything as well, I'm just going to add to that and say, like, I love the effort that you went to putting all those little references to like video game culture and like memes and just general like stuff. I saw things potentially from Pokemon in there and like all sorts of things. So
I have a very specific view on references. Like I've seen reviews every now and then, like, oh, there's too many references. It's too cringy. I'm like, there's a reason for each of them. What we're doing is we're kind of borrowing the cultural energy of what we're referencing, like the Pokemon theme song. When a character says, I want to be the very best like no one ever was, it's not just, hey, I recognize that. It's that it tells you, okay, this is a story about ambition. This is a story about competition and dreaming. It brings the energy of the original into your work through the reference. And therefore, it gives everybody a nice, smooth context of how to understand the work.
Yeah, totally. I'd like so much media now is like, hey, you remember this thing? This is a thing, whether or not it's
Yeah.
like Ready Player One or like any Warner Brothers movie that's
If
come
you're
out.
gonna reference, there has to be purpose to the reference. You have to have a
Exactly,
philosophy about
yeah.
it. You can't just say, "Hey, remember the Thundercats?"
And I love the way that you like wove it into the text. It's done incredibly well. Take it from me. It's done incredibly well. So now that the game is out and people have had a chance to play it and experience it for themselves, what, or even if the people haven't played it, what do you want players to take from the new challenges after they've finished playing? Like, what is the message, kind of, without spoiling anything, obviously, but what do you want to communicate to the player? What do you want them to take away from the game?
I'd say gaming is for everyone. It's for everyone, and everyone is different. There is no one unified gamer template that everybody gets stamped out. Everybody comes at it looking for different things. Everybody comes at it with different dreams. And together, when you share in that, that's when the magic actually happens.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. That's a great message just to leave it on as well.
It's a great place to end.
Yeah.
Stefan and Aenne, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Good luck with
Happy to be here.
everything. Good luck
It's
with
been
the
a
new
fabulous
game. Good luck with the game
conversation.
that's already out. And yeah, have a fantastic day.
I
Thank you
can't
so
wait
much.
to see what the future holds for you both. All
Thank
right.
you.
We're working on
Have a
stuff.
wonderful day.
Keep an eye
Yes.
You too.
Okay.
Bye.
See you for now. What a lovely conversation. What a lovely
that.
chat.
Love
Oh
that.
my goodness. Oh, I feel
Let's
like
have
I've
another
learned so
chat.
much. Yes. You know what? We should totally have another chat because we have another guest. We have another amazing guest today. It just keeps going. It just keeps going. This is a packed podcast, as it
Yes.
were. Now, please welcome our second guest. It's Raythe Reign, everybody. Woo!
Wow. I don't know if I want to follow that. They were so lovely. I'm like, oh, now
They're
there's me.
very lovely.
That was lovely. This will be equally as lovely, if not.
This
a
is
little
going to be
bit.
amazing.
Aw,
Yes, you're
thank
gonna do.
you
You're gonna do
guys.
great. Yes, but welcome on. How's your day going today? How are you? How are you
It is
doing?
Going really well, though I read your invite as Central Standard instead of Eastern.
You know
But I
what?
got here in time.
Everybody apparently did
Everyone
that today.
does that today. It was, but we got here. That's the main thing. We're,
Yes.
we're here now.
Yes.
Mhm,
And like I told you earlier, I'm interviewing to be part of a new D&D game, so I'm so excited about that.
yeah.
I'm just thrilled. I've been playing Stray, so everything's good. Just waiting for Starfield to come out, and I think my life will be complete. Cannot wait.
So yes, I'm looking forward to. You need to give us the information on that so I can check out the D&D stuff if and when it happens. I would love to. The behind the scenes stuff you were telling us about, that was very, very interesting. Now, as part of today's shake-up, usually we go through a whole rigmarole of different things before we get to the meat of the podcast. But we're diving directly into the meat today, which is your interview, Raythe. So,
Most excellent.
to kick things off, why not introduce yourself to our readers, to our listeners, to everyone?
All right. So I go by Raythe or X Aratari on Amazon, and Aratari is actually Raythe in Romanian. I'm a writer of gay, paranormal, science fiction, and fantasy romance serials, if that's not a big mouthful there. I have my own site, raythereign.com. I'm also an Amazon's KU, and I have a podcast on YouTube and Spotify and all those places where I have made some of the serials into audio plays. One that Dragon's Reign, which I actually read dramatically, and one that's
Did a
now
brilliant
on-
job. Absolutely fantastic job there.
I love you. And one I'm having read by professional actors. And there's I say 5, but there's actually 7 of them. There's special secret ones that are coming in. So that's my big life creatively.
Love that. How long have you been writing for?
Professionally for money, 12 years, but truthfully, probably 35. I'm a little bit older than most people. So I'm 48. So
Okay,
yeah.
That's awesome.
Mom always said, she's like, you were telling stories before you could read or write. So
Oh my
I'm
God.
not quite counting that, but close.
How did you? I'm going to pick your brain a little bit more on that. Like, how did you like get into writing and start like going down that avenue? What spoke to you at the beginning? Like, what pulled you in?
That's actually a really good question, and I do think that for as much as writers are made, because it is a skill that you can absolutely get better at and absolutely pick up and learn. I have to say that I was always telling stories as a kid. I would sit my mother down, and God bless her, she would listen to me go on and on about the fairies in the yard and everything like that. And ironically, I was writing gay stories at age 10
That's
before I even,
amazing. I
I
love
know.
that so much.
And what I really appreciate is, as you can imagine, 38 years ago, gay stories were not exactly accepted, but my mom and dad were A-OK with it. They were like
Oh,
listening to it and encouraging me. And to this day, they both said, you basically always had this desire to write this and be in this world. And we're so glad that it's worked out and that it's far more accepted now. But they were always accepting. And I think that's what encouraged me to continue to be a storyteller, their acceptance of what I wanted to share with the world.
that is so
amazing.
incredibly cool, and what a lovely, lovely insight. Now, of course, going from your past of getting into writing and just obviously telling queer stories, you're actually promoting two stories this summer, both
Yes.
Raythe Reign, which is already out, so you can listen to it as a podcast right now. I listened to the first couple episodes today, and I'm already hooked. I'm just like, I need to jump into this more. And also Everdark, which is your up and coming, your new VA'd voiced podcast experience week by week is going to be amazing. Can you
Yes.
tell us about them in general?
So yeah, well, I'll start with Dragon's Reign since that's the complete one, and you can literally jump in right now and just listen to this thing. It's a gay shifter romance serial, but it's a little bit different than what people normally think of as shifters. Basically, it's set in our world, but it imagines what if all types of shifters are real, and the world has been pretty much divided into now 8 territories ruled by dragon shifters. So and one of those is the Black Dragon King, Valerius. And in his territory, our main character lives and works. His name's Caden Bryce. He thinks he's pretty ordinary, but he's actually a hero, which I love to feel like us who are ordinary could really show who we are given the opportunity. When he saves people from a terrorist bomb, of all things, there's basically conflict between humans and shifters, as one can imagine. He joins with a spirit that turns him into the 9th dragon shifter. So there's been these 8 dragons forever, and now suddenly there's a 9th that pops up. And the story is all about him facing dangers and falling in love with Valerius. I tried to mix a ton of humor and angst and adventure to see how this would all work. So that question, what would the world be like in terms of religion, in terms of prejudice, in terms of, how would people view themselves? What happens when humans aren't on top anymore? And how that's not, some people don't like that. And also, but just a ton of humor and warmth and, love, that sort of things, both friendship and romantic.
What
Edgar, go ahead.
Sorry, what really struck me is it's kind of like, so I'm a big anime fan, and to me, it's kind of like being able to listen to an anime isekai kind of story without it being an isekai, which is really, really cool, by the way. I'm not sure, do you watch anime at all or anything like that?
I do, and I've had, it's interesting. I love them and I hate them because sometimes I feel I'm obviously coming from Western perspective, so that's a limitation on probably my part. I like Western storytelling better in that sort of arc, but I love the imagination and the breaking the Western rules anyway that I do find in anime. Ghost Hunt's probably my favorite. Just that the paranormal and just all of it. I love the main character. She's awesome. So yeah.
Oh yeah. Speaking of paranormal though, Everdark is also coming. Can you tell us about that?
Yes. So Everdark is a bit darker than Dragon's Reign, and it's a gay vampire romance with 2 couples. So there's Julie and Christian are best friends and adventurers, and they have this YouTube channel where they go and film all over the world looking to prove that magical creatures exist. But Julian is particularly obsessed with proving that vampires are real because he's convinced they killed his parents. Christian is like, no, like the Scully to his Mulder, like, I'm sorry, vampires are not real. Except, of course, he ends up being very wrong, but he wants to support Julian. As luck or fate would have it, Julian is actually destined to be the fledgling, the child of this lost vampire king, Damon. And Christian has been loved from afar by the exiled vampire lord Balthazar Ravenscroft. So the story follows both sets of couples' adventures, being turned into vampires, falling in love, vampire politics of all things, and then Damon reconquering the vampire world once more. And that's being read, as I said, by professional voice actors who just, when I listen to them, I'm just amazed. I have the biggest feeling of like imposter syndrome when they're reading it. To be honest with you, like that they would read this even for money is stunning and amazing. And they do so much more than they have to do. So I'm stunned and so happy by it.
That's amazing that you saying that you're experiencing imposter syndrome with that, because like from everything that I was listening to today, it's just like it works so effortlessly. God, I can't even get my words out. You see, yeah, it's absolutely fantastic what I've listened to so far, and I'm sure it will continue to be that way. And no doubt. So definitely, I don't think you have to experience that imposter syndrome, but I know that's like a big thing for like a lot of creatives. It's just like suffering from just like even me as a streamer, I get that all the time as well. It's like I'm like a Twitch ambassador, and I'm still like I don't deserve any of the praise I've ever been given. So I feel you on that. I feel you on that. But again, for me, you shouldn't have to worry about. I mean, look where you are. Like, look what you've done.
On the Gayming Podcast. No, sorry.
No, exactly. No, this too makes me feel like I'm imposter syndrome. Like, oh my goodness, they're interviewing me. Who wants to know this? But hopefully, a few people.
I want to know this.
Yes,
I want to know this,
we
and our viewers and readers want to know this.
Oh, thank you.
And look, listen, I have adored kind of vampire stories for forever. I think that the idea of kind of, I always found vampires quite gay anyway. Like,
yeah. Have you read an Anne Rice novel? Jesus.
The fabulous hair and everything. Exactly. The homoeroticism is there anyway.
It's hugely. I mean, they're sexually transgressive creatures. That's their purpose.
Yeah, that's exactly it. So whereabouts for all your stories, not just these two, but everything. You mentioned obviously writing as a young kid, talking about the fairies in the back garden. Where do you get that inspiration? How do you sort of wake up and go, I'm going to do this today?
You know, have you ever felt like if there's a highest, best purpose to what I can do or be or, act in a world, I always felt that telling stories was mine. And, I guess you should really judge it based on how people respond to what you're doing. But I have had this preposterous idea that I have something to say that would entertain, that would help people understand the world and would make them feel better about themselves and their place in it. And that's sort of what when I'm writing or thinking of stories, they just come. And the unique fact that I use a serial writing technique where I write a chapter and people respond right away, I sort of get to understand my readers' hopes and dreams, and just it's just a thing that's so close to my heart. I can't even explain where it comes from.
That's so incredibly sweet. Oh my goodness. God. So for me, one thing I really appreciate about the way that you have things set up right now is that you have that audio portion, you have the podcast, you have the serialized podcast where you can actually listen to it. I am terrible. I don't really read a lot. A lot of the stuff that I consume is audiobooks. So I love the fact that it's actually like a serialized podcast format. How did this decision come about that led to creating the serialized podcast? What inspired you to do that?
I love audiobooks, and I spend way too much time in front of a screen. And I know a lot of people feel the same thing, that it's hard on their eyes to just keep reading. So I wanted to give my own eyes a read. Yes. So you understand.
Yeah.
Plus people, when they were driving into the office, this was, audiobooks were my savior because I was like, oh, thank God, if I have to go here, at least I can be entertained on the way.
Mm.
And it's like someone telling you a story, right? And that has a completely different feel than just reading it yourself. It's like a fun, cozy experience. When I read Dragon's Reign myself, and and I'm going to continue doing live streams, it's this feeling of like being able to be connected to people in a way you often don't just by reading something yourself.
Mm. Oh my goodness. Yes, honestly, like it's nice to be able to to have that, and I feel like it's sometimes with me reading, because I have ADHD as well, it's very difficult to keep concentrated. But if I have someone literally like talking directly to me, I can be there in the moment and like actually like know the tone and the way that things are supposed to be said, and how it comes across too, which is I feel like I don't want to say it's for on a personal basis, it's so much more impactful for me. So thank
I'm
you for
glad that
having that
it's
option.
opening it up to people too, because you're
Mm.
not the first person who said that. And I'm like, oh, well, great. We're going to do more of this. And this will bring more, I'll be able to entertain more people, and hopefully they'll feel good about that. And it just works with what people need.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned it a couple of times, obviously, already, about how your slightly unique style of writing is not to just write everything, stop, and then release it. It is kind of very much more around write chapters as the story unfolds and it's out in the real world. Why do you choose to do that? And what do you think the impact of being what's the impact, sorry, of being guided by the reader?
Oh, it's huge, actually. And it comes from fan fiction because though I have now been writing professionally for 12 years, I sort of was just writing for myself or writing in fan fiction sites. And the idea of putting a chapter up and getting feedback from your readers right away is so addictive. It's you
Mhm.
get all that hard work, all that stuff where you're just like, oh, I got to grind out this next sentence. I've got to make it happen. And then you get someone who's saying to you, this character means the world to me. I can't believe that you showed someone just like me, or I felt like this lifted my day, and that just makes you go forward. And then there's even the critical comments like, well, I think this person was out of character in this, and I'm really hoping you'll do this, that, and the other thing. That makes you a better storyteller, and it's real time. And I always feel that if someone's telling you something at the time it's happening, you can more absorb it than if you give them a whole book and then they write in a review, well, this was crap. Not just, and it could be crap, right? But now as a serial writer, I can actually fix it because I can just change things as I go forward. So,
and it's important to sorry,
No, you go ahead.
just really quickly, it is important to note that there's a difference between reacting to feedback rather than kind of like being pulled around and just writing what people want.
Right. It's not like that, I will say. But what I do find is that we have, close to 3,000 members on Raythe Reign, which is crazy. But I have to say that many of these people have been with me almost the full 12 years. So a lot of them know my writing style and my weaknesses and my strengths. And they can say, Raythe, I really appreciated what you did here with this, but I am seeing that these questions are left unanswered, and this seems a little bit off. And I'll be like, oh, crap, you're right. Like, and go through and fix that. But I don't like someone says to me, well, you know what? I want you to write a story about X, Y, and Z. I'm like, I'm sorry, that's not what I really do. But what they can say is, I've introduced, for example, a side character, and they've fallen in love with that side character. Guess what? Suddenly that side character has a more main role, and that side character might, in fact, get a lover, might become a big part of it. So that has definitely changed the stories.
And it's important to remember as well, sorry, that that serialization is the classic way of storytelling.
Yes.
Like Charles Dickens, when writing his stories weekly, monthly or weekly, whatever, in the press at the time, in the newspapers at the time, was all serialized. Sorry, Mia, carry on.
No, I was literally gonna just a follow-on question from that. Just ask, like, has there ever been a moment where you've like, based on like feedback, you've pivoted from something that you were going to do and went down a different direction?
Yes, and it can go well or badly. I had one story. It was Ghost Hong Kong Triad, where I intended there to be one set of lovers, and then I introduced a character just randomly, and the people were like, they belong together. And the entire story, I was wrestling with this problem where I had promised one thing, but the other thing was so much better. And to this day, I look at that story with dissatisfaction, almost like I want to rewrite it, which I could do. I have done that. And so, but then on the other hand, I've had feedback that has transformed a story and made it into something so much better, so much more. I would definitely say it's The Fell is an example of that. Really, just with people giving me such thoughtful, emotional feedback for how these characters are affecting them, and that really has helped me, improve my craft.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. So there's obviously ups and downs with it. Mostly positive, I would hope. From what it sounds like.
Very lucky for that. Yes.
From my from my research into the world of Raythe Reign, there's been a lot of art, books, audio series, and more surrounding your work and your characters that you've created. Did you think that would be so popular when you were just starting out?
It would easily say no, of course not, and on some level, of course not. That's insane to think that people would like my little strange stories, to be honest with you, or big strange stories. But I think to have the balls, to start a serial site like Raythe Reign, I had to have some belief that the stories I'm telling other people want to hear. I put my money where my mouth was, investing tens of thousands of dollars I did not have, doing stuff. I'm an attorney as my day job, and I had to spend hours on top of that to create Raythe Reign. And I had to believe at some level. But this goes back to what is your best, highest use of yourself. And I just believed that these stories would appeal to someone, or maybe I just had to tell them, and I had to get them out in a way that would attract as many people as possible, and hopefully they'd stay for the ride.
That's amazing. Like that level of, I wish I had that level of confidence, honestly.
Or delusion.
It's enviable.
You never know. It's delusion too.
That's not delusion. Definitely not delusion.
What have you found most exciting and fun about turning these stories into audiobooks on YouTube and Spotify?
Oh my God. So I really think that audio makes the world come alive more, obviously, especially when you have the audio plays like we're doing where people are acting out the parts. My absolute dream is to honestly have live action, like to have real, like a series, just like delusional time here, but that's what I would love. And so these audiobooks and the audio plays are a step towards that, especially when you have these professional actors who take your work up a notch where you could not reach on your own. We also have, I've had manga done, and I can honestly tell you there's this idea of the third artist where two artists basically come together. It's almost like this totally new thing is created. And that's really what I found the most fun, is to see how it changes and how people react to it differently. And for me, how it's just like a totally new thing.
That's amazing. Are there ever any, I mean, with that process of getting that made, is anything do you feel like things are lost or added in that situation? Like what effect does moving to that different medium have on the story to you?
It's a really good question. And it's both, of course. There is something lost because with a novel, like a reading and a novelization, you get to hear all interior thoughts. When you're in the manga, you don't. You get to see what it is. But T-Wolf's been working with me for over a decade, as well as Mathia Arconiel, the two house artists. And we've worked together so closely that they really can almost pluck ideas out of my head. I feel like, wait, I didn't describe that, but that's exactly how I saw it. They're like, yes, Raythe, we know.
That's awesome.
With the audiobooks, it's hard to let go of how I think a character might sound. Edward Fox, who does play Lord Balthazar and Damon and the narrator in Everdark, is beyond what I'd ever hoped. But the other characters may not have been what I had thought they would be, but I've come to love them. But it's not the same, obviously.
Yeah, I suppose there's part part of you has to like let that go too, and
do.
that can be difficult when they're essentially your children. They're your babies, you know.
They are. They
Mm.
absolutely are. And then suddenly, I think, especially when I had the Everdark podcast go up, I felt like, will people remember me at all as the author, or will they just think of the actors now and
Mm.
not even care? Versus Dragon's Reign, where it was all me. And
Mm.
that's, yeah, obviously I'm like, still love me, please.
I'm sure everybody will still love you. And speaking of love, this is quite apt for the next question. Your stories are almost always centered around romance. What is it specifically about romance stories that you love the most?
I'd actually contrast it with something that will sort of like give people an idea. Da Vinci Code. Da Vinci Code is a very much a fun story, but that's not character based, is it? It's about the puzzle. It's about the plot. And it can be interesting, but for me, when I'm reading, I want connections between the characters. I start with those characters and what works for me, and what's like more complex and interesting and horrible and joyous than two people learning about one another and falling in love. I mean, they get to face dangers and monsters and who knows what else I'll throw at them. But that connection, that real like deep thing that happens. And I also concentrate on friendship too, because ironically in real life I'm a romantic, but I write romances. Who knew?
That's amazing.
So but I love that. I love that. I think that that's how people hook in. You find a character you can understand, relate to, or even hate, and you're in. You're into that story.
I feel like it definitely like explores like the whole breadth of human emotion in those particular stories, and it's very interesting to see where you go with them, how varied and different like your stories can be too, like going darker with vampires, or literally jumping into a world which is driven politically by dragon leaders. It's like it's amazing. It's amazing.
Who knew that dragon politics would be interesting? But it is.
So we've obviously spoken about what's happened so far and where you are, and obviously we're just getting into the new stories with the lovely vampires. But what does the future hold for your stories? What's next off the line, or what story would you like to sort of tell?
Any secrets?
Forward?
Can you let us in on anything?
Yeah, no. What's been a real thrill to me is that these actors who are for Everdark, our professional actors, are actually really hooked into the anime scene and have lots of connections. Now that's way out of my budget right now. You know, like $10,000 a minute, you know, something ridiculous like that. But my eventual goal, as I say, is to do live action or anime. I really do want to do that next. But it's something we're going to work towards. I know that I can't even believe it, but the actors are like, hey, Everdark Academy is like the sequel to Everdark. We're going to do that too, right? And you have a third one coming after that. We're going to do that too. And I'm like, hell, if you'll do it, I'm with you. Yes, let's do it. So
yeah,
those are
that must be amazing to know that they're so pumped for that as well. Like
and
they had such a good experience.
You know, one thing that may happen, and I can only speak vaguely about this, but they're talking to their actor friends, some of which whom we may recognize, who might actually just do a part, not under their real name, not under the stage name, we might know them, but it might be somebody who has quite a bit of, that they just come and do it for nothing.
Nice.
I'm like, why would you do it for
Wow.
nothing? But they're like, no, this is so much fun.
Well, we look
honestly,
forward to hearing Meryl Streep. No.
Yeah, exactly. Can you imagine?
Obviously they just want to be part of the worlds that you've created, which is such an achievement. Like, again, I don't even, like we were talking about imposter syndrome earlier. That should be yeeted out of the window at this point. Like, listen to what you're talking
I just
about.
feel like unbelievably happy and unbelievably unworthy of it at the same time. I think one of the things that was the most beautiful was said by one of the actors who is gay, and he said basically to be able to play an openly gay character where them being gay wasn't the focus of the story. They got to be an adventure. They got to be, you know, just who they are, and they're the lead. And there's just no angst there. There's no bury your gays trope. There's no, you have a miserable life. No, you get to be the hero. You get to be the shining star. and things are going to work out for you. There's going to be an HEA, the happily ever after for you. Damn it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's something I really appreciate about the worlds that you're creating too, is literally offering a source of media for many of us who never had that growing up. We like didn't have a lot of people that we could look up to in our media, and like your work does exactly that. So thank you so
I can do
much.
one small little thing like that. If I can just say, you know what, we deserve to be here, and we deserve
Mm.
happiness and success. That's what I want to give in these stories, and
Yeah.
it's earned. So it's not a Mary Sue or Gary Stu, but you know what I mean. It's like
Yeah.
we don't have to always be the ones sacrificing or living lives that are end in sadness and aloneness. You know what I mean?
We
Mm,
deserve a
mm.
happy ending, damn it.
Absolutely.
Yes. Mm. And so for all the queer little boys and girls and babies that might be listening right now, where can people actually find these stories and get into the audiobooks?
Okay, so raythereign.com is like the main site. It's a serial site where you can go to and you can read the first 5 to 10 chapters of almost every single serial there to see if you like anything, and then you sign up. But if you want to check out the audio work, we have a channel on YouTube, the Raythe Reign Gay Fiction Podcast. So you can check out Dragon's Reign and Everdark. We're also on Spotify and iHeartRadio. If you'd like to read and you're in KU already, all my books are in KU, excluding the manga, because they want to give us like a penny for that for read. But you can go look for me under X Aratare, and you can read all the series there, and that'll give you a flavor of who I am.
Hell yeah. That's awesome.
I
This
love
has
that.
been an enlightening and a wonderful conversation. I've had a
has
lot of
indeed.
fun. Have you had a
It
lot of
has.
fun, Robin?
I have had a lot of fun. Raythe, have you had a lot of fun?
I have. Thank you so much for having me, and asking such, excellent questions. And I hope I answered them okay. And
Oh, no, you were
really,
perfect. You were absolutely fantastic. Yo, like, honestly, some of the questions there were just off the top of my head, too. I'm just that interested in what you have to say. So, yes,
well,
it was
thank
it was
you.
great. So lovely having you on.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Have a
And
great
good
rest of your day, guys.
Good luck with everything. Thanks,
Thanks.
Raythe.
Yes. Bye
Take
for
care, bye.
now.
Bye.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. How
What a wholesome
sweet.
podcast.
Listen, like when it comes to like, and again, yeah, a wholesome podcast. And when it comes to like interesting people, this is a packed podcast full with
It
like
is.
interesting people today, and like just picking their brains is such a, like an amazing experience. It's absolutely fantastic. Absolutely. So thank you to all of our guests that we've had on today. Now, it's a little bit of out of order today, of course. But we're gonna kind of go into like the general gist of the podcast that we usually do now. So stick around for that. It's better late than never. But now it's time for a mashup of bite-sized news and the weekly recap. And this week we're talking about a couple of things. First and foremost, TwitchCon. I
Yeah.
was there, so
You
that
were
was my
there.
last. That was my last weekend. Yeah, that was my
You were
last
there.
weekend. It was
And how was it?
it was an honestly, I wish I was still there. I don't think I've had so much fun at an event in a really long time. And honestly, I really needed it after God knows how many years now, just stuck inside during the panini, during the pandemic, during all that awfulness and isolation. Actually getting to get out there and seeing people. I mean, it helps that I was flown out for free and like wined and dined and treated like a celebrity. That was really cool. Because the Twitch flew out all of the Twitch ambassadors, the new Twitch ambassadors this year to the TwitchCon Amsterdam event. So it was a good time. It was an
It was good.
absolutely amazing.
What were some of
time.
your highlights?
Oh, some of my highlights. So again, meeting all the other ambassadors, that was a lot of fun. A lot of lovely people. I basically was attached at the hip to a friend of the show and gaming ambassador, Ready Set Ben. We had so many wonderful times. Got to see Luke Boogie out there, Donut Tart, all the besties, all the most amazing people, and even Coda Girl Chan was out there too. Like a lovely
awesome.
time. Yeah, we got to go, and I wasted so much money in the loot cave, like all the Twitch merch. Like I was gonna be dressed head to toe in Twitch merch today, but I thought, no, maybe that's a little bit too much. But I think I spent like almost €200 on Twitch stuff while I was out there. Listen, it's not hard to spend €200 on Twitch stuff. They tend to be a little bit overpriced. I mean, it's like what, 50, €55 for a hoodie, but still. Yeah, and then so Friday I was just hanging out with the ambassadors. That was fun. And then I don't think I paid for a meal while I was out there, because so many places had free food. We had the partner party that night too, and there was just free food and drinks. I got so drunk, it was ridiculous. Don't send me to a place that has an open bar. I will get really, really drunk. This is what happens. Sorry. Listen, I'm going to be talking for a while. This is just like an insight into the way my brain works right now, dear listener. Of course, you've gotten that in the past though, so that's fine. The Saturday was more of a bit chill. I had a meet and greet, and then I got robbed by Hassan Piker. Yeah,
robbed.
I got robbed. Yeah, absolutely robbed. Yeah,
Ow.
Yeah, for real. Okay, so it wasn't in terms of put them up, I'm stealing your lunch money kind of robbed. No, I was on the main stage of the Glitch Theater over there. So literally twitch.tv/Twitch in front of tens of thousands of viewers. It was the first time I was on stage. I was bricking it. Absolutely. But I think I held it together quite well. We were doing a Lego building competition. And
quite literally bricking it then. Hey.
Oh, I was literally bricking. Oh my God. How apt. Yeah, I was literally bricking it in this Lego building competition. God, why did I never make that connection? Amazing. So everybody that I spoke to and everybody that I watched said that I did the best, but because I was against other popular streamers who were more popular than me. I mean, Hassan Piker gets 30,000 viewers per stream, right? It was based on audience votes who won. And so I was always going to lose. And even Hassan didn't know about that. He was annoyed about it as well. We were staying at the same hotel because they were put a bunch of Twitch people up in the same hotel, which was right next to the convention center. And I saw him in the reception afterwards. And I said, congratulations on winning, because I had to leave the stage first and I had to basically go backstage and I didn't see anybody after that. But when I saw them back at the hotel, I was like, congrats. And he was like, yeah, I didn't know it was going to be an audience thing. This is my terrible Hassan impression. I didn't know it was going to be an audience thing. So, do you want this? He was holding the trophy in his hand, by the way. And, of course I said, no, couldn't possibly. I don't, I wouldn't know what to do with it. I'm heading out. I'm going out to get food now. So it's not a big deal. He's like, no, just give it to the reception. They'll hold it for you. So I technically didn't win, but I still won. For the audio listeners, I'm holding up. Actually, Robin, go ahead. You describe what I'm holding up right now.
Oh God, you're holding up a trophy / plank of wood with an engraving that says "You won." You have to hold it a bit closer. You won TwitchCon 2022
Yes.
with the world's
Explain what else.
The world's happiest alligator.
Okay,
No,
so
frog.
that's no. It's
Alligator.
not. It's a Komodo
Okay.
dragon head. It is literally the Pog emote. Have you never seen the Pog emote? Look at chat right now.
No, I'm not.
Look,
There you go.
look at-
There you go. Okay.
Yeah, there it is. There it is. Listen, if you're watching it, there we go. There it is. That's what. Can you see the similarity between the two?
I've got it now.
Yeah, it's like a ceramic Pog head. Ooh,
Yeah.
That's not what I wanted to show.
Don't need that.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. This is ridiculous. And if you are an audio listener, you are missing out.
Get
Goddamn.
over to the video
Yeah.
immediately.
Yes, get over to the video. Come and follow us on twitch.tv/Gayming Mag with a Y. If you're not here already, you should be. And, subscribe while you're at it as well. I'm sure, you can enjoy all the emotes and stuff. Anyway, so I also had a meet and greet that day too. I was late to it because of Ready Set Ben and I annoyed a bunch of Twitch staff. That was fun. And then later that day, we watched the drag showcase. Did you catch the drag showcase?
I did. It's possibly one of the best things I've ever seen.
It was amazing. It was absolutely fantastic. It was iconic. The best thing I've seen at TwitchCon. It was so good, so good. Obviously, you had Donatart and Nikki Stones. They were hosting it. We had some familiar faces there as well. Aubrey Wodonga, who we know from the Gaming Awards, right? Yeah. But nobody would have seen that performance, right?
Nobody would have seen that performance because we're scared about putting copyright music on our stream.
Yeah. So the thing is, Aubrey did the ring performance, but I don't think they were allowed to do the hanging thing that they did at the Gaming Awards, which was really disappointing. Ours was totally better in that case, but they still did an amazing job. Of course, you had the likes of like Evo there, Miss Cookie Dough, Heather Fetish, did a performance and put a song in my head that I still to this day cannot get out. If you've watched it, all I want to do now is I just want to go back to 1999 over and over and over in my head. Literally, go and watch the performance. It was one of the best things I've ever seen at TwitchCon. And of course, we also had Hungxiety there too, who was had this Bloodborne inspired drag. It was insane. It was absolutely amazing. The level of makeup and just like clothing and the design, it's wow, mind-blowing stuff. And then so that was my Saturday, although I did also make a Twitch staff member cry on the Saturday, but I'm not going to go into that. You'll have to guess. You can at me on Twitter and try and guess how I made a Twitch staff member cry. That'll be, dear listener, at the Miabyte, tweet at me. Let me know how I made a Twitch staff member cry, and then maybe I will reveal it at some point. But we don't have all day for that. So yeah. Also on the Sunday, it was a bit more relaxed. I actually got to go and explore the con, go to the different booths, talk to different people. I had a bunch of I had 2 different scheduled streams from different booths. I was running around like crazy. But then, yeah, I just got to generally hang out with people. Did a quick interview for just before the closing ceremony as well, which was really fun. And it was amazing. It was really, really cool. It was really fun. I just wish that I hadn't been so busy because I had wanted to get out there and actually see Amsterdam, see the city, see the sights. And I did a little bit. We went to a couple of gay bars. That was cool. That was cute. That was amazing. There were some drag performances there too. Those were really fun. But I can't talk about those ones here though, because those would not be Twitch appropriate.
Yeah.
But those were very fun. And yeah, I was I'm kind of sad because I didn't get to go do the traditional thing of going to an Amsterdam coffee shop either. I would have loved to do that where it is legal in Amsterdam to get coffee, of course, at the coffee shop.
And enjoy the different strains of beans.
Yeah, different strains of beans at the coffee shop. But unfortunately, little old Mia here will remain a virgin in that manner of all those different strains of coffee because I didn't get the chance to, unfortunately. We were actually going to go on the Sunday night, but it was closed by the time we got there, which made me really sad. So I just really want to go back as a tourist and explore and stuff.
It's a place I've never been. No, it's a place I've never been.
I was literally about to ask if you've been to Amsterdam, but no.
It's but thank you for the mug. I can never do this in the background.
Yes, yeah.
My adorable Amsterdam.
There's an Amsterdam mug, and I got you a little magnet too. How were the stroopwafel I got for you? Did you try them?
Amazing.
They're really good, weren't they? They're like apple tarts.
Yeah, they're really dense. So actually, I can only really have one at a time, and then I have to give it like an hour or something, and then go back and have another one. But
are you doing the traditional thing where you actually put it over your coffee and just let it warm up?
No, I just eat them. I should try that.
That's how you're supposed to do it. You're supposed because when you get them fresh in Amsterdam, and this is the other thing as well, there are no stroopwafel places near me where I was staying in Amsterdam. I was so annoyed. It was like an hour and a half away to get to like a stroopwafel place from where I was. Like it's right in the middle of the center of town. I just didn't have the chance to go get them. And they're actually served like obviously warm and gooey and lovely. So when you get these little ones that you have in the packet, you're supposed to like make a nice hot cup of coffee and just literally just sit it on the top and let steam warm it up so it goes all gooey and soft.
I will try it tomorrow morning with my morning cup of tea.
There you go.
That's what you should. I will try a warming stroopwafel
with tea. Okay, I guess that works. I mean, it's got apple in it. I guess that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Fine. Anyway,
there was news about Twitch, wasn't there?
Yes, there was a TwitchCon. Of course, there was news about Twitch. What are you talking about?
Yeah, okay.
So in the
From
opening
Twitch.
ceremony, they announced to reiterate a few of the a few things that's upcoming and changing. They're going to be changing the $50. This is where the bite-sized news comes into the mashup
Yes.
here. They're lowering the payout minimum from $100 to $50. So if you only make a limited amount on Twitch, you can now actually get your money every single month, which is nice. They're adding charity fundraising to the platform, like directly built in. So you can set yourself a goal and have your subs and bits go towards a charity thing. And apparently Twitch takes a 0% cut because it's through PayPal giving. But I'm still questioning, like, does that mean they take 0% cut of their cut of the sub? So do they still get half of the sub and then your half just goes to charity, or does the whole sub then go to charity? That question I kind of want answered. I need an answer to that question. They've reintroduced customizable tags. So we used to have the communities system back before 2018 on Twitch, which essentially let you name your own community and then tag your stream with it. What they've done now is they have the tagging system, which was extremely limited, which we were screaming about for the longest time because there wasn't a trans tag, there wasn't a bunch of these like identity tags. Now they're finally coming back around to you can customize your tags. So a nice experiment that we're back where we were pre 2018. Essentially,
congratulations everyone.
It's just the same thing with a different name, but pat yourselves on the back. It's we did it, guys, we did it. We gave you customizable tags. I shouldn't be like that because I love the staff members I met over at TwitchCon were absolutely lovely. Really, and they do care quite a bit too. It's really it was difficult sometimes because I was talking to the comms team and they're like, I was trying to communicate to them like you need to move yourself away from being looked at as like a faceless corporation. You need to be like, because so many people there do care, but you need to put those faces out into the world and say, listen, here are individuals that are just like you and care about the same things that you like too. Yes, I'm teaching the core post how to be human. No, I'm kidding. That's very dehumanizing. I'm kidding. That's a joke. They were lovely. There's now shared ban lists, which means that your ban list you can now share with other creators and they can apply it to their own, so they can just delete everything off there. There's also a channel switching system, which is really weird because I actually made this suggestion to them privately, and at the time apparently they couldn't tell me that they actually had the exact idea I had in mind coming up, which is it's a system that allows viewers to click between channels and watch a minute of the stream before deciding if you actually want to jump in without having ads impeding the experience. Because right now the experience is you click on a channel, you watch an ad, you wait, then you see the content, and if it's not for you, you click out, you go somewhere else. But now it'll just literally be a bunch of thumbnails. You click on it, it'll show you a preview up top, and then this is what they're doing. It'll show you about a minute or two of the actual thing, and you can just literally just jump in or just keep switching between them.
Which I guess really helps with discoverability, because you see that you very quickly see this is my jam. I'm going to stay. Now I can deal with this advert because I know some good stuff is coming.
I feel like front loading the ads was just a terrible decision for the longest time. So I'm really excited about this channel switching thing. And also guest stars, which has already been announced. They reiterated that guest stars come to the platform. So just chatting streamers can now use a system where they can pretty much do what we're doing here, using the system that we use. Probably in a system very much like the system that we're using, just to get them, just to get more situations like this on Twitch more easily without having to use Google Hangouts or Discord calls or anything like that. So it's a much cleaner, simpler experience. But you know what? All great announcements. And I don't know if there's anything I really, really want right now from Twitch. But I was really heartened to hear all that stuff. But enough about Twitch. What else we got today?
Yes. So it's SDCC at the moment, so San Diego Comic-Con.
It is, yes.
The biggest Comic-Con. And there is so much out there in the world that just... And this is where we kind of suffer a little bit as Brits, is because SDCC obviously happens in California time, which is basically our evenings and overnight. So it seems like every morning at the moment we wake up to some crazy updates. Listen, there's loads out in the world. I'm not going to hover on too many of them. We'll come back to Marvel in just a second. There's some really good Star Trek stuff for those of us that like Star Trek.
Oh, I haven't seen any of this, so inform me.
Yes,
great informer.
Chat has just ruined my point. But it's so Lower Decks The Lower Decks animated series
What?
is coming into Strange New Worlds, which is a live action series in season 2 of Strange New Worlds.
Hold
There's
on, hold on. So you're saying there's going to be characters from a cartoon being
Yes.
in live action? I would have
Yes.
thought it'd be the other way around. That doesn't like.
But
Are the voice actors playing them, or
it's both ways. Well, yes, exactly. So I can remember Jack Quaid is one of the voice actors who we're very familiar with because Jack Quaid's in The Boys as well.
wait, which character does he play in The Boys?
Oh, I don't know.
Hold on. All right, just
Anyway,
keep talking. I'm going to look this up.
talking while you're googling. They said they're going to come in as live action.
Oh,
so
it's Huey.
there
Sorry.
you
Yeah. Yeah.
Again, so there's going to be 2 characters that are going to come over into Strange New Worlds, animated into the real life. The handy thing is that so Jack Quaid's character on Lower Decks actually looks like him. They sort of drew him a bit like him, just with the sort of bigger hair. So the swap over, the sort of the crossover will work well because he'll actually look like. Thank you, Boimler. My brain just went for 2 seconds there.
Boimler.
So Boimler, the animated character coming into the real world, and then Anson Mount, who plays my God, Captain Pike on Strange New Worlds, has said that he's actually got a 2D. I don't know whether this is a joke on the panel or not, but he's got a good 2D character drawn of him. So whether there's going to be kind of like a reverse crossover in the episode as well, where they're going to animate some of the Strange New World characters.
Hold on. Does that even match up timeline wise? Because
No.
like Strange New World isn't like set super far back into the past.
Yeah, so
right?
Strange New Worlds is set kind of pre the original series as we'd know it, and Lower Decks
is like post Voyager.
About the same time as Voyager. It's definitely after.
Well, it has to be post Voyager because they have.
Because Tom Paris is in it. Yes,
Tom Paris
yes. So it's about that kind of time, just post Voyager. So there's
Listen,
again.
I'm not even a big Star Trek fan, and like I still.
There's shenanigans.
Shenanigans will ensue. That sounds really cool.
That's exciting.
All right.
And
we also more.
We also had the kind of we knew it was coming, but we actually had some of the first looks at the original Next Gen cast coming back for Picard season 3, the final season of Picard as well. So like Geordi and Worf and
everybody says it's like.
Okay.
That's I've literally just
listen, I don't know why at the moment people can't write 10 episode seasons. We've spoken about this, about Disney Plus's issues, about it starting really strong, petering out in the middle, then finishing really strong. Picard has the same problem. You could easily have crunched that last season. You could have crunched it down to a 3-episode special, and it would have been fantastic. Tight, fast storytelling, whip through it, done. But I love it because it still has those callbacks to series that I grew up on as a kid. But it as always gets bogged down in the middle. Anyway, moving past Star Trek, Marvel. Woke up this morning.
Before we jump into Marvel, before we jump into that, I saw Thor today as part of this mashup.
Yes.
Are you caught up on everything?
Yes.
I want to know what you thought of Thor.
7 out of 10.
Okay.
Solid.
Yeah, I get that.
Bit fun.
I get that.
It's certainly funny.
Did you not feel like it was rushed? Like the edit was rushed? Like it felt like I was watching it on 1.5 speed. Like everything just happened really quickly.
I tell you what the problem is. I think the bigger problem is that Ragnarok was so good, and they just tried to do Ragnarok again. And I think that is a problem. There wasn't like a unique take on it. It had the same characters, it had the same jokes, it had the same.
I think it also lacked that interesting and just otherworldly setting of Sakaar as well.
Yeah,
like the fish out of water stuff. It kind of like lacked.
Yeah, absolutely.
What made that?
And I for complete spoilers and everyone stick your finger in your ears or do what you need to do for the next
20 seconds.
The ending of the baddie going, oh, okay then, and then just calling it and stopping, and it's just like, what are we doing? I don't
the lack of conviction, I guess, there. And like it's weird to have another bad guy just.
I mean, don't get me wrong, Christian Bale, fantastic portrayal.
Oh my god, the scene where he's in the cage with the kids.
Yes,
amazing.
Yes,
amazing. It's like this the Saturday morning, like British presenter type thing going on. Fantastic. I love that.
But it made me more frustrating that he was allowed to create and craft this amazing character that
And it
in the
didn't.
end just kind of lay down and went, oh, okay then.
Yeah.
And it's just
Well,
like,
it's this is the problem that like Marvel tends to have is like they keep killing their bad guys. Like they're interesting bad guys. Like they just keep killing them off, and it's like, well, I want like something that's going to last a little bit longer. Can you not like arrest them?
Yes.
Or...
And that kind of brings me on to my other frustration. It kind of ties into the things that were revealed at SDCC as well.
Mhm.
But in previous kind of phases of the MCU, there was always a kind of a lurking big bad, or there was a lurking obviously
through line.
There was a strong through line. And in this one, this phase has just been kind of like, I mean, I think Kevin Feige described it on the SDCC panel as being kind of like, oh, it was just the effects of post Endgame.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's not really because the thing is, we all know that Kang the Conqueror is the whole point. We all know that it's coming. And you kind of like, and introducing the character so early in the phase with Loki, you're kind of like, okay, multiverse, check, Kang the Conqueror, check, and different variants therein. You're kind of going, okay, so I know what's coming in this phase. We're going to keep bumping into Kang the Conqueror in different bugger all, nothing. And it's just like, oh, okay.
Not even like
it's just been weird kind of references, like at the end of I can't remember which one it was because they all blur together now. But at the end of one of them, there was the bit where at the end of Shang-Chi where Bruce and Captain Marvel and whatever else are just gabbing with Wong about something.
They're about where the bands come from.
The power of the rings and nothing.
Yeah.
That's 3 or 4 films later. Nothing's come of that. And Loki was banging on about something else, and nothing's come of that. And it's just like, doesn't feel like
it all feels like after the Infinity War stuff, like they've got to put down this groundwork again. But it's like they're trying to tell, like, there's not one through line here, which is the multiverse thing. I mean, this is called like the multiverse saga, but like there's not just that, but they're also trying to do this thing with like the Marvels over here. Like we got to have like an origin of this thing, and you got like Shang-Chi and the bands, and that's got to lead to something else, which probably won't be related to like Kang or any multiverse stuff. But like, so it doesn't feel like there's a larger plan because it feels so all over the place, right?
I'm giving
them trying to do so many things at once.
Absolutely, and I think there's a benefit of the doubt to be given somewhere because the release schedules were screwed around so much as a result of COVID. And I know that they've had to go back and do reshoots. I know they've had to do a lot of stuff. They basically had to they didn't have to, but they chose to completely redo what we now know as the Multiverse of Madness, Doctor Strange, because they'd started shooting on it. And because they had a last minute switch of director over to Sam Raimi, what they were filming or what they were trying to shoot before the pandemic was a completely different film that nobody was really happy with. So they kind of like were able just to let that go and then start again.
I don't think anybody's really happy with what we had to with, to be fair.
No. And anyway, let's kind of move on from the kind of like the past stuff, because there's so much to talk about of the new stuff. And I'm hopeful that there's a lot more that's coming that makes more sense. We already know that sort of like leaping ahead, I guess, to kind of the end game of, if you pardon the pun, is that there are 2 Avengers movies coming out in a couple of years' time. Which is the Kang Dynasty, which is obviously hooray! We've finally got to Kang the Conqueror, and also Secret Wars. Which
I'm looking forward to Secret Wars, which is
Secret Wars. That has to be X-Men. There's just no two ways about it. I mean, X-Men are part of Secret Wars, and there's a lot of dates.
Everybody's part of Secret Wars, though.
Well, that's
but
what I mean.
The thing is, like, it's probably not adapting the original Secret Wars. It's probably adapting the more up-to-date Secret Wars, which is literally the multiversal story, which they reference in Multiverse of Madness. They literally take one of the literally explanations about how the multiverse works, and they worked into Multiverse of Madness, where it's, I don't want to go into heavy spoilers, but it's like all the what do they call it? The where they intersect. What do they call them?
Oh, branches.
No. Like the universes collide together, and they called it like
Oh yes.
Yeah, that word. I can't remember what it
Yes,
is.
that one.
But anyway, basically
bit.
in that comic, that happens on a scale and they can't like stop it. And like the whole Secret Wars comic is like figuring out what to do about that until everything kind of culminates in one prime dimension where they're on the Doctor Doom's version of Battle World or whatever, and then they all fight each other. Or I actually never finished the comic, so I don't know how it ends. So it'd be really interesting to see what actually happens. Yeah.
But in the build up to that, of course, there's a whole raft of things coming in the meantime.
I'm actually more excited for like the smaller things that are have nothing to do with the multiverse stuff right now. It's like She-Hulk. Oh my god, that trailer looks so good.
The trailer was amazing. I'm all for fourth wall.
Yes, I'm so ready. I'm so ready
for fourth wall breaking.
I love the way that she does it in the trailer, and like there's a realization that she does it, and she doesn't realize that she's like, wait, what did I just do? Like, as well as like just other like Bruce Banner just like glancing, being like, oh, what are you doing?
And Jamila Jamil crops up as the baddie in that, which is amazing.
Yeah. Let's see if she can wait to make a situation about every situation, not about her. That'll be interesting.
Moving on. No, it's and of course there was the blink and you'll miss it Daredevil at the end.
Yes, I'm so glad that they brought Charlie Cox back.
Yes,
well deserved.
Absolutely. People describe this whole this talking about like where the through line of this last part is. Weirdly, it's actually Wong. Because Wong has cropped up in everything. So if you were looking at it should be the kind of like the Wongverse or something.
Yeah, he is the Sorcerer Supreme. He does have his fingers in a lot of pies.
Exactly. Looking forward to that.
It'll be nice to see Samuel L. Jackson return for Secret Invasion. So a lot more Skrull stuff there. You're not interested in Secret Invasion?
I am. I just kind of, I guess, because I haven't been close to the comic books, I think, again, this is possibly where we've missed some of this kind of context. And I think they're still perhaps rushing to kind of fill in some blanks that probably should have been filled in by now. Because they obviously had Ms. Marvel that came out.
Skrulls.
Sorry, Captain Marvel.
Skrulls.
Yes, Skrulls. We obviously had the Captain Marvel film, which brought all of that in and put Nick Fury up in space. And again, left it there and nothing else kind of thing. So
yeah, that was like all the way at the end of No Far From Home, wasn't it?
Yes,
that was like years ago at this point.
Yep.
So
absolutely.
Yeah.
So it's
crazy.
Ant-Man the Wasp: Quantumania.
That'll actually reintroduce Kang. That was supposed to be the film that introduced Kang. So
yes, exactly. I think this again is coming back to this kind of theory of we're still grappling a bit with these stories being slightly out of order. And I think they're probably having to do a lot of reshoots, and now we're talking about films that are still shooting, so they're able to kind of try to rework the thread back into it again. And it's going to come on to another one in a minute, which is one where an idea that happened then went quiet, and then we'll see them come back again.
Oh, you mean Guardians 3 with Adam Warlock?
That I was on about Thunderbolts.
But that's the thing as well. Like Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 with Adam Warlock, that was teased at the end of the last one.
Yes.
And it's been how many years now too? So it's like
exactly. And then I'm baffled when the name came up, but then looking up on their Instagram, I can see exactly why. Because having Will Poulter cast as Adam Warlock. Now, the last time I saw Will Poulter was in that comedy road trip movie when they were smuggling weed in a coach. And he's a scrawny little twink. Whereas in this film now, on his Instagram, he's massive in a brilliant way.
Really?
Yeah, huge.
Is he cut? Did he have the Marvel transformation?
He's been to the Marvel.
They pumped him full of steroids.
He's been to the Marvel. Yeah, and not drinking water for 2 days prior.
I'm actually kind of excited about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 because it's going to explore apparently Rocket's backstory, which will be kind of cool.
That's nice.
Yeah.
That's nice.
That's the only reason I'm really interested in it. And I know it's Chris Pratt. Is that the right Chris? Yeah.
Yes.
No, it's Chris Pratt. I know the internet has issues with Chris Pratt, but I'm still looking forward to this film.
The PRX I think the PR has been on overdrive because it came out recently that he was trying to back away from
Yeah, he like
what his church
denounced.
did, or tried
Yeah,
to
it's like
denounce what
it's
his
got
church
nothing
did.
to
He
do with
wasn't
that.
aware
I don't
that
know.
that was as ropey as he thought, and as
Mm.
shit as it was. And it's kind of like, oh, okay, just carry on.
Actually,
But
you should be angry at this church because that's the bad
yeah,
one.
yeah, that was a bit odd.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, still looking forward to it. I think that's I guess the problem is, again, that wasn't necessarily a pandemic thing. That was a relationships issue that Disney had with James Gunn, or James Gunn had, because
Yeah. It got so
Disney
delayed
kind
'cause-
of were kind of quick
Oh,
with
yeah.
the banhammer.
Didn't he get like accused of
He
sexual assault or what
no,
was it?
I don't.
No,
think
it was inappropriate jokes, wasn't it?
It was a crappy. It was a
inappropriate
crappy
jokes
tweet.
from like
Yep.
years ago. Yeah.
It was a crappy tweet that came up from years and years and years ago. And I think Disney were just
Edgy
going through
humor.
Disney were kind of going through their phase. They just bonked Gina What's-Her-Face from Star Wars, and I
for
think
being a massive turf. Sorry.
And yeah, no, absolutely, rightly so, and Vax peddler and everything else. And I think that they kind of got caught up in that kind of spirit of, if they did it to one, they had to do it to everyone. And so when James Gunn's one came up, which he'd already previously apologized for as well, they just kind of like chucked him out straight away. So he went straight off and did Suicide Squad, and also then did the amazing follow-up to that,
Peacemaker?
the TV show Peacemaker. Thank you, with the world's best opening credit sequence. And it so then to sort of like have to then retrofit that back in again. Obviously that screwed up though, because all the cast basically went, well, if he's not directing,
we're not doing it. And then
Disney's like, oh god, what have we done?
I feel like the effects of that are like, well, they've said that this is the last one now. And I imagine if that situation happened, that might not be the case, but like this is going to be the end of that overall Guardians story. The characters probably still exist.
Yeah, absolutely.
Honestly, as long as Karen Gillan still exists in the universe in some form, I'm happy. I need my slender blue woman, kicking ass cyborg woman. It's going to be amazing. Did you see the trailer for Wakanda Forever?
Oh god, I think I watched it about 5 times. Amazingly touching. I was always curious about. I think it's interesting, isn't it? How many we keep talking about this, whether it's pandemic, whether it's overactive banhammers, whether it's whatever situation. It does seem like this past 5 years of Marvel films has been a bit cursed in terms of the release schedules and whatever else, and the stories they're having to kind of firefight
about, like, how much has been affecting it now.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course Black Panther's now been affected, because obviously the sad loss of obviously of Chadwick Boseman. And they started work. Ryan Coogler started work on the film, the second one, not knowing that Chadwick Boseman was ill and dying. And so,
I mean, like, he literally had cancer and like just stuck it out like a champ. Nobody knew until he passed. Like,
absolutely ridiculous. But
yeah.
So yet another film with unforced errors, yet another film with kind of necessary delays and rewrites and everything else. So it's but it does seem like from the trailer this is going full kind of tribute to the great man and to the character and everything else, with an amazing callback to Endgame, I think, when they were talking about the rumbles under the ocean in Africa. Throwaway line.
Because Namor, the Submariner, is apparently going to be in this one. So,
meant to. I guess the idea was yet again that this was meant to be out sooner than than the gap that they were forced to have. So I think again you're seeing evidence of this should have been out a lot sooner. But Atlantis, we've got Atlantis, we've got Namor, we've got loads of other things as well.
You got Ray Williams as well playing Ironheart.
Yeah.
And this is the other through line that they've been trying to do for each of their projects, is like passing it on to the next generation, right?
Yeah.
And I'm assuming that's what's going to be after the far off Avengers. Once they're done with this saga, it's like, okay, here are the new Avengers, the young Avengers, you know.
Well,
like,
I mean, but also don't forget there's an Ironheart TV series coming next year.
There is an Ironheart TV series coming.
We're sort of getting them quick as well, and I'm led to believe that through Quantum Mania, the kid in that's now grown up, suspiciously grew up in the 5-year gap as well, actually.
The daughter.
you remember that one where
yeah.
he snapped back in after 5 years, and she looked like she's about 30 odd.
Yeah.
But yeah. So new Ant-Man, new everything, and I think it's interesting how they're kind of bringing up the next gen. But
yeah, speaking of like the Disney Plus shows, I feel like I care far more about watching Ironheart than I do about one of these. This is on the list. Echo. I don't know if is anybody asking for Echo. Like, I'm sure like it's great for representation for like people who are
good for
deaf,
representation. Good for representation.
That character, like
tragically,
nothing...
a very uninteresting character.
Yeah.
In the TV show so far. But
I mean, that Hawkeye series wasn't the most amazing anyway. It was a little bit of fun. It was a Christmas romp adventure, but
I
like
liked
nothing. You liked it?
It's a Christmas special.
Yeah, it was a Christmas special.
I'm a
I enjoyed
sucker for
it.
Christmas. I'm a sucker for Christmas specials anyway.
I enjoyed it, but I feel like you could have taken Echo's character out of that series and not.
Oh, hugely,
much would have been
completely
lost.
pointless. In
Like,
that sense, completely pointless. There for a reason, obviously. But I think as well, I think we have to remember that this is, as you rightly said, it's about seeding up that next generation of Avengers and everything else. And I think that it's looking at how they kind of seed these new heroes. I guess it's testing them in some ways as well.
Yeah, I guess like I don't really know the hook of the Echo series. Apparently, it's it says that Maya Lopez's ruthless behavior in New York City catches up with her in her hometown. So, like, I don't know. It's the
most generic description.
It's very generic, and that's on the official Marvel site.
Yeah.
Like,
and
even Marvel doesn't seem to be invested in its own shows. So, yeah, I will say one thing I am really, really looking forward to though. Out of all the Disney Plus shows, Loki season 2. Let's go. Let's do it. I really enjoyed the first season of Loki.
Well,
did you not?
I did enjoy it. Things I want for Loki season 2. One,
more Miss Minutes.
Yeah, to be fair, one, we need to just be living in the TVA world, because I loved the 60s sci-fi,
that retro
stylings.
Future aesthetic. Yeah.
Oh, amazing.
It's really good.
But
Very
two, cool. and the more serious point, if you say that your character is bi, you need to actually be bi.
A lot of queer baiting.
Rather than the lip service that was paid. So
I will say though, that's one thing I liked about Thor. That was the most queer representation I've seen in a Marvel project.
Absolutely,
that was good.
That was good, and possibly uncuttable for audiences what don't want to see it. So that could be a good step in the right direction. But no,
listen, all members of Korg's race are a male. It makes perfect sense.
I just love the description of how they birth a new one as well. I said, as we left the theater, I said to my partner, like, do you want to go and hold hands over a volcano? But which is probably the most romantic thing I've ever said.
That's so gay. I love it.
I was going to say yes. So
Loki, sorry, we're talking about
Loki. That was it. My brain's gone to holding hands over volcanoes. No, Loki season 2. Mostly excited. Maybe. Mostly excited. Let's see how it all crinkles out. I feel like I need to do more.
Definitely, in terms of queer representation.
Queer representation and a little bit of storytelling. I think it paid the price of suffering that traditional kind of like series slump as well. We need to bring back the Loki variants. I want the alligator variant back.
Oh, definitely. I feel like more of that stuff. That filler episode where they were trapped on that planet, like the character interactions were fun, but it felt drawn out. It felt like that wasn't necessary. Like probably could have put some conversations.
You didn't need half an episode where you're all sat in a bar just chatting.
Yeah,
didn't need
and the self-cest there too. I'm not sure how I feel about that. How they've paired up Loki with themselves essentially. That of course they're gonna
I think that made the most sense. Like if
cosmic narcissism, yeah.
But Loki was only ever going to love one person, and that was himself or their selves, I should say. So that's That's interesting. What else?
Blade. Are you excited for Blade? I'm excited for Blade. I want the darkness of the Marvel universe to come through in more projects. I want, like, I don't know, Multiverse of Madness was kind of like a little bit horror-esque. It had the Raimi tropes in there of like the, you know, it was more comical horror than anything else. But like, I want some actual like scary stuff. I don't know if Blade's going to fulfill that though.
I think you might be upset by that.
Yeah.
I don't see how, given the new direction of Marvel and Disney and everything else, I don't see how they're going to go full 18. I know they've committed to it with Deadpool, but it's interesting. There's been no chatter about that yet.
Yeah. Where's Deadpool? Hopefully,
exactly. Well,
comes
I think
in Secret Wars, right? Because that's how
that would be amazing. But I think prior to that as well, their slate is full at the moment for 23, but 24's slate is a bit empty. There's kind of like markers down for these things. So, but I have a theory about that as well. But
okay. Well, yeah. Are you excited for Blade though?
Yes.
No.
Don't shoot me. But I didn't see the first. I haven't really seen the first ones.
Well, it's got nothing to do with.
No, I know, absolutely. But I just wasn't necessarily kind of a Blade fan. But I think getting into Blade, this could be a good jumping on point. I know. Okay. But I think I just wasn't necessarily into the MCU before the last Blade, so I've kind of come a little bit late, I guess.
Okay.
And
okay.
We tried to watch the old ones and it didn't work.
All I want is a reference to some mother effers are always trying to ice skate uphill. That's all I want. That's all I want out of it. I don't care about anything else. One thing I am looking forward to as well in terms of Disney Plus shows, one of the only Disney Plus shows I'm looking forward to is Agatha Coven of Chaos. Agatha was great in WandaVision. WandaVision was absolutely fantastic, mostly, except for like a few bits and pieces there. I don't like the culmination of WandaVision, how it turned into the typical superhero thing. I think that was like kind of dumb. But I enjoyed Vision, talking to Vision, being like the ship of Theseus, blah, 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 blah. That was really interesting. Now, Coven of Chaos, though, because it was meant to be House of Harkness before they changed the title to Coven of Chaos. So there's no information on this. So I'm really hoping it goes well. Obviously, the actress who plays Agatha, wonderful actress, who's been in a bunch of different stuff, including like Transparent, and she's been great in everything. I forget her name. Do you think she has what it takes to like pull a show together like this?
I think the word coven is doing quite a lot of heavy lifting potentially in that title. I think it's a suggestion maybe that during the process of development, they've kind of thought we might need a couple more characters. So I'd be interesting to know who's in that coven. And of course, chaos is referenced now to what we know as chaos magic, which is something that was a callback to some of the Scarlet Witch stuff as well. So I
kind of want it to be more TV related again, because like at the end of WandaVision, she was trapped in that persona, right? So I want it to be like Golden Girls with witches, you know, before it like descends into whatever it's supposed to be. But you know,
I think that might be a flash in the pan, and I a little bit of me would hope it wouldn't be, because I think what was beautiful about WandaVision is that it's incredibly unique, and there's you're never going to get a second season of that, because I just think it's, as you say, the problem is the second you took that magic of old television away, like I think every episode of WandaVision was like, this is amazing, this is fantastic, this is okay, and it just,
as you got close to the real world, it just kind of like lost its impact.
Just went back to the standard ye olde superhero thing, and it just it kind of lost that impact. Daredevil Born Again. Born Again is an amazing storyline through Daredevil anyway,
and it just matches like so well. It's like, again, like Homecoming with Spider-Man in terms of titling. It's like Charlie Cox is back where they belong.
But it's 18 episodes.
18 episodes.
Yeah.
That's either a good thing or a terrible thing. It remains to be seen.
I think it's good, hopefully, because I think the issue that sometimes befalls the Marvel things about the whole 10 episode slump issue is 10 episodes is kind of like, you could have made it a movie with a bit of editing. You could have got that into a film. But I think 18 very much makes it stand alone as this is a TV show. This is 18 episodes. This is
I'm interested where like what they're going to be exploring in that because okay, I like Charlie Cox's Daredevil. I enjoyed the first season of Daredevil from what I saw. I love Charlie Cox's inclusion in the Spider-Man film that he was in. And I love the fact that he's going to be in She-Hulk, but I kind of fell off Daredevil in like season 2 of the original series and I never saw season 3. So I'm like I love the fact that he's back, but like an 18 episode series, I don't know if I care that much. You know, I don't know if I'm invested in the
Well,
character to that degree.
I don't know.
I'm being
I don't-
honest here. Like other
No,
people
I
will probably be
agree.
mad at that, but
And I think it would be. I'm quite interested in it because I do think that the issue with the 8 or 10 or even like 6, I think was Hawkeye. That six lots of 45 is basically a movie. Falcon Winter Soldier was 5 episodes, but that has befallen quite a lot of problems due to the pandemic, which was basically a movie. And I do think that sometimes the issue of things that should have been a movie, but actually they turned it into a TV show and just added some padding, and you can see where that padding was added. I'm looking at you, Obi-Wan Kenobi.
yeah.
And I think that's my concern. Whereas I think an 18 episode order is a proper classic TV show.
Okay.
Well, done properly, hopefully, maybe written in chapters. Written in chapters, maybe like 2 or 3 episode arcs of each one.
It depends on the
or-
writer who's on it though, because I don't really trust Disney right now with the way that they've done all of their Disney Plus shows. It just seems like the way that it's going to go, it's going to be completely waning in the middle where nothing really happens.
I guess the only thing I can think of is that there's a very specific reason why that's 18 episodes. Like, why is it broken? Why was it allowed to break out of that kind of classic 8 to 10 episode order? Like, there must be a reason why. So
I guess so, yeah.
For the time being, let's kind of like reserve judgment.
But I don't know what the actual comic book storyline is, so maybe it's like really in depth and really cool, and like I have no idea. But like, judgment will remain until it actually comes out, as with all of this stuff. But speaking of padding and Captain America, Captain America: New World Order. You know what? Depending on the directors they get on this, I don't think they'll probably have the people who worked on the last several Captain America films.
Oh, the Russos.
Which I really enjoyed. The Russos, yeah. I really enjoyed Winter Soldier. I really enjoyed Civil War. I'm hoping this explores like similar kind of thing in terms of like actual politics of the world that they're in, and obviously conspiracy theories when you say New World Order. So maybe it'll be like another, because like when you have Winter Soldier with like Hydra hiding inside of S.H.I.E.L.D. and stuff, that feels like it's a conspiratorial type of like espionage, kind of like uncovering thriller type thing. So I'm hoping this does like the same thing too. And I'm really hoping that they change the costume for Captain America, the Falcon version of Captain America now, because that costume at the end of the show was, like a lot of people were saying they loved it. I did not. The stark, bright Daz whiteness of the costume,
that's not gonna last
like
long, is it?
everywhere, is like no. And I'm hoping, whoever takes it, and like the Russos did something really cool with Captain America, is like they had that kind of the same like bright, kind of like overwhelmingly color popped like outfit in the Avengers, but in terms of like Winter Soldier, they made it more militaristic, they made it more realistic, they made it like more like grimy, I guess, and more true to what military gear would be in the actual world. So I'm hoping they do a similar thing here. Obviously it's not the Russos though, so I don't
Be
know
interesting. I think I have enjoyed the Captain America films. I think you're right. I think they've been the kind of political North Star sometimes of all of this. And I think if they can do that again, yes, the New World Order obviously relates to conspiracy theories, but I think it might have something more to play as we start to see these films unfold, in the same way that Winter Soldier really moved the story from A to B and kind of set where we're going. I think this might be that kind of, because it is kind of apart from the Thunderbolts, that is the last one before we get into some really meaty Avengers stuff. Yeah. So maybe by that point, we're starting to see the threads come out. We can start to see whatever this new world order that's being crafted.
Yeah.
Maybe Kang has something to do with it. Maybe there's conspiracy theories or whatever about the multiverse, about the politics behind all of that.
I'm specifically excited for it as well because I'm hoping there's going to be some levity in the form of Sam and Bucky's relationship again too. Because I feel like that was the best part of their Disney Plus series, were just their interactions in general. And I hope they're not consistently chummy because I just preferred them when they were at each other's throats.
Yeah,
that was just fun. Yeah,
we'll see.
Moving on from that, you had the Thunderbolts. Obviously, they've been seeding this throughout everything. They've been having their background stuff like John Walker and Abomination, and like it's going to be a new team filled with like dark Avengers, I guess. Like
it's the
anti-hero.
It's the it's the Marvel version of my brain on a Sunday.
Suicide Squad.
Thank you, Suicide Squad.
Yeah,
it's that kind of anti-hero thing, but
that's a film though, and it's not a series, so it's
yes, it is an actual film.
Yeah, so maybe the Marvel Suicide Squad could be fun. It depends how invested I am in the characters.
I'm there for Julia Louis-Dreyfus. Just having her involved, it is a good start. But
one thing I will say, it's nice to have them seeded throughout the actual projects rather than just throwing a bunch of people together.
But again, I think it suffered slightly due to the pandemic because that was ticking along quite nicely with her cropping up at the end of things, and then that's gone quiet for a year or so now. But
let's speed this up. So Fantastic Four, do you want to see John Krasinski back?
Yes.
As Mr. Fantastic? Yes, me too.
Yes.
Like I'm hoping he remains and that they actually have it.
I wonder by this point what universe the Fantastic Four will be existing in.
Yeah, because it doesn't have to be set in this one, does it? It could be set in a different universe.
I think that's where some of these films that haven't been named yet, we're going to see the X-Men start to come out. We know that Marvel has. There was that thing on the internet that Marvel had registered a whole load of websites and IPs and trademarks and whatever else, and there was a lot of kind of references to mutants and whatever else. And of course, if you've seen the end of Ms. Marvel, the TV show, it is revealed that she's a mutant at the end of the TV series.
Yeah, and they use the X-Men theme. Which my 90s heart is like,
and it's coming. We know it's coming, and I just wonder whether it's going to be tidier as we kind of explore the multiverse. Are we going to start seeing stories exist in their own right on those planes, in those universal spaces?
We kind of have already in terms of What If, so
exactly.
It makes sense. And then characters from What If have started appearing in the Multiverse Madness had Captain Carter, even though it wasn't that Captain Carter, which they said because she's going to be continuing to be in the next season of What If. Because there's a whole there were so many announcements the day before as well from like the animation side of it. Obviously, they're continuing the X-Men 97 series too, all that stuff. So I'm excited to see what happens there. Like the Peter Parker thing, the Spider-Man freshman year or whatever, that's apparently set in a different universe too. That's not set in the mainline MCU as well. So they're doing
that's kind of how they're going to do it. And I think we're going to see more of that. That they've even kind of teed up that ability to switch around because obviously bringing in America Chavez.
So.
Who can punch through reality, I think.
Maybe the future of Marvel after we're done with like this whole thing will be more, listen, we are free now just to tell any story that we want, set in any universe, and we're not constrained by Continuity. Thank you. Yeah. Nice pregnant pause there. Of course, then you got the two Avengers films, Kang Dynasty. And Secret Wars, which honestly I feel like they're going to try and do an Infinity War and Endgame thing with that again because they're so many months apart. So one will lead into the next one. So Kang will be causing incursions. That's the word. Incursions. And maybe the Fantastic Four will be part of that in a different universe, like trying to fight Kang because Kang is their villain specifically.
And that's the cleverness of Kang is that each universe is going to be fighting their version of Kang, and then the Kang is the linchpin that brings it all together. But I just kind of wish they kind of whipped on with Kang a little bit sooner. But
I'm assuming that in Fantastic Four we'll see Doctor Doom as well, and they'll be involved in the next because they were a big part of Secret Wars too. So hopefully that'll be that. So was there anything we missed? I think we've covered everything.
I think we've done everything. There's obviously so much more at SDCC and it's ongoing, so you can go and check that out and go onto YouTube and when we wake up in the morning, there'll probably be more news that will come out.
Yeah. I feel like I've missed out on things again. Yeah, I'm kind of. I've always wanted to go to San Diego Comic-Con.
Yeah. What was that
But again,
movie?
so many
that was
people.
a road trip across Paul.
Oh, Paul. Yeah, that was an interesting one.
Love that one.
Mhm,
That was a good
mhm.
film. And that the whole point
That's
of that was them driving to SDCC in an RV and having a fun time. That sounds like a great
and doing their own little parody of ET in every sci-fi movie out there.
Yeah.
That was interesting. You know what though? I'm surprised because like all the cons happening. I don't think I got con flu. I don't think I got COVID. I haven't had a positive test. As of
Yes,
yet.
absolutely, yeah. But you're a little bit under the weather, weren't you? So you might have got a bit of
No, I slept
old
for like a
con flu.
day. Like I was
Yeah, it's probably just
exhausted
energy
after I
more
got
than anything.
back, and maybe I had it, but it was just that mild. I don't know. I'm on immunosuppressants though, so maybe my immune system just didn't flare up like crazy against it. Who knows? But yeah, it's kind of like when I had the vaccine, I literally just like slept for a day.
Yeah.
So maybe I didn't avoid it, but I
Fingers
was around
crossed.
Ben all the time, and Ben got really bad COVID. So yeah. Anywho, I guess that brings us to the end of our
does.
conversation. We don't have like quick fire questions or anything to end on today, which is
We
kind
don't.
of sad.
We'll just wrap up in a
Oh.
nice, tidy way.
Yeah. So okay.
Oh, question
Well,
from chat. A bit of Q&A suddenly started. Is
All
Mochi
right, yeah.
is Mochi awake?
Is Mochi awake? He was. I know because he used his bathroom, and I've been suffering throughout the last 20 to 25 minutes of this podcast because it happens to be in the office. So to be fair, it's gone down now, so it's all fine. But if you saw my at any point in the video podcast, my expression just like contort, that'll be the reason why. And that's why you, dear audio listener, need to go back and now watch the video portion.
Yeah.
See if you can figure out the precise moment when Machi did a stinker. Wonderful way to leave a podcast. I want to say, Robin, thank you so much for joining me today. And of course, shout out to Raythe, Stefan, and Aenne, right? Aenne. Yes, I got it right for once. Who joined us earlier. Yes, I hope you had a fun time today.
I did. Thank you very much. As always. Absolute pleasure.
Of course. So thank you all for joining us on this episode of the Gaming Podcast Live. We'll be back in 2 weeks, 2 weeks' time with the next episode.
Absolutely. And you can follow the Gaming Mag channel right here on Twitch or subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss any of these amazing shows. And as Mia said earlier, please subscribe if you're sat here now. We've got so much coming up on gaming, so do subscribe to this on Twitch. And of course, podcasts can be listened to back at any time on all major podcast platforms. And if you're listening there now, head on over to Twitch, watch us live, head over to twitch.tv/gaminmag. So Mia will be back later this week with Let's Go Gaming, but coming up on Tuesday, we have another DigiPride panel. This time it's hosted by Safe in Our World. This t-shirt right here. There's Stinky Mochi for the audio.
That's why. Okay.
Oh God, let's not look at that one too much. Let's get back to my panel on Tuesday. Panel on Tuesday.
Safe in Our World. Yes, that's why you're wearing the t-shirt.
That's why I'm wearing the t-shirt. It's called +1 Self-Care, which is all about mental health in gaming. A very, very important topic. Something that'll be very fun for them to do. So check that out at 8 p.m. on Tuesday, right here on twitch.tv/gamingmag.
Totally. And in the meantime, hello, Mochi. Mochi's in my arms, dear audio listener. In the meantime, you can keep reading Gaming Magazine, watching all the shows, doing other things, can't they? Can't they? Yes, they can. See, he can speak as well. But yeah, until we see you again, we will see you very, very soon. So goodbye for now, everybody. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.